Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of our conversation. If you missed the first part of it, make sure you guys go back to the Scorers Table podcast and check it out. Let's get right into it. So, all right, you had one of the greatest careers in Q's history, that's no doubt. After Q's, you went overseas for a little bit, played D-League for a little bit, but then you decided to come back to Q's. I think it was 2009, 2010. You were 2 years as a grad assistant, and then you get promoted to a full assistant in 2011. Tell me about that transition. Did you know you wanted to coach? Was there somebody who influenced you to go that way? And what was that transition like for you going from playing to coaching? Because it really wasn't far, right? You were just you come back and you get right into coaching. How was that?
It was abrupt. I mean, it was Coach. It was Coach Boeheim. Like, you talk about the loyalty. It was really him that gave me the nudge I needed. I wanted to play, but I wasn't happy. You know, I was playing in places and I didn't feel that same level of – it's different when you play professionally, especially if you're playing in certain leagues. I didn't feel that same sense of I'm playing for something bigger than myself now. Like, all of a sudden I was playing for myself, but it was more so like I realized like everybody around me is playing for themselves. You know, and that was hard for me. And then physically, you know, it wasn't just the stress fracture in my groin, which was still kind of to this day actually gives me a little bit of pain. It's my left ankle needed surgery, and I was like, do I want to go play in, you know, Transylvania and and play 54 games and, you know, destroy myself where I'm not really enjoying my life. And when I was in between jobs, I was Coach and I had a great conversation. He said, how's it going? And it kind of is going how I'm telling you now. That's kind of what I was telling him. Like, yeah, man, Coach, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I had a pretty good situation in Latvia. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, I just don't really want to play in the G League. And I might play 40 or 50 games and not make much money. And there's never a guarantee I'm going to get called up. But do I want to go overseas? And he said, what about being a grad assistant? And I'll never forget it because it was at your practice. I went and watched you play the 6 overtime game. My wife and I, Katie, we were going down for the night, ended up staying for the championship game because it was the 6 overtime game. And then it was West Virginia.
Another overtime West Virginia.
Another overtime game. And then Louisville in the championship game. So I was so excited. Like, man, I'm back. I just watched the Q's. Like, you know, I was so excited. I went back to Scranton, and you guys were practicing. So I'm like, I'm going to drive up and watch them practice. Like, what the hell do I have to do? You know, I'm in between jobs. I don't know where I'm going to play. Like, I'm going to go watch Q's play or Q's practice. So it was the Monday after you guys just got drawn to Miami to Miami.
Yeah, Miami, yep.
So I go up, I'm watching the practice, I'm having this conversation with Coach. And he said, why don't you come back, be a grad assistant and get into coaching? And it was like, you know, I was like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. You know, I thought I'd duck it, but it hit me right in the face, you know? So I was like, I started thinking, I was like, Coach, man, I don't know. Like, I'll think about it, you know, I'll think about it. So that night I went home, I booked flights to Miami. I'm sorry, I booked flights to Fort Myers Beach, went and saw my family in Fort Myers, got us tickets to the game. We drove from Fort Myers to watch you guys beat Stephen F. Austin, drove back to Fort Myers. Then we drove back to Miami 2 nights later and watched you beat Arizona State and James Harden. Mm-hmm. So the following week, you guys play and you lost to Oklahoma in the Sweet 16, and Blake Griffin and those guys. A few days go by and Coach calls me. Like, at this point, I wasn't even really thinking about it. I'll never forget it. I was at my mother-in-law's house, at Katie's mom's house, and my phone rings, and I see it's Coach. I'm like, hey, Coach, what's up? He's like, well, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I got off the phone, and Katie looked at me. She's like, what? Yeah. What are you doing? I was like, we're moving to Syracuse. You know, like, what do you think? You know, kind of after the fact, but that's kind of how it all played out. And, you know, the rest is history, man. You know me, you know how much I love what I do. I wasn't moved into my place, and it wasn't 5-10 minutes into the first workout I was doing that. I'm like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I love to do.
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the greatest, I mean, obviously one of the greatest players, but if people really see you in action, like basketball minds, one of the best I've been around for sure. And just, you can have a great basketball mind, but there's a difference when you have to be able to show somebody else and teach somebody else and get that across to them, because we know, you know what you're saying, but does this guy know what you're saying? And I just remember, when I was on staff for those 2 years, and I forget what it was. I think coach, he was running late, so you had to run the pregame. You did the pregame. You're just going through all the scout, and I'm just looking. I'm looking up there at you, and I'm like, man, this is the head coach. Just everything was just how it came out. It was just like, this is what you need to do. It wasn't any like, no, it was like, dude. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, you're a head coach. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't explain it. You just know it when you hear it. And a basketball guy like me, you know it. And so just from being those 2 years on staff, I knew it right away, man. It was like, this guy.
Well, too, E. It's like, it goes back to me, it goes back to, like we just talked about, with like the people you're surrounded by. Like as a player, like you're so grateful for some of the teammates you have, and then, as a player, you're so grateful for some of the coaches you have, and then as a coach, you're so grateful for everything. You're grateful for the players you coach, and for the colleagues you have. Friends that, like, I think what people don't understand about our staff is just how close we are. It's just so unique what we do here with Syracuse, that like you're connected in such a special bond of all playing for coach. And then as a coach now, like having the opportunity to see how coach runs his program, to see how he adjusts in game, to see how he handles certain situations, to have been around guys like Hop, yourself, Weave, Murph, now Red and Griff. I'm just lucky. And then it goes back to the preparation. Like at the end of the day, like, sometimes it's I always say, when you give a message, give it with conviction, and if you believe in the message you're given, it's going to come across with it. So, to me, I've always tried to be very prepared, with not only the way I train guys and work on individual skill development, but also with game prep. That's become a very enjoyable part of my job. I love that part of the job where, now you get to game plan and start to implement how you're going to execute, how you're going to adjust, what you can envision. And that's the part of my job that I think over these 10 years that I've really evolved in, is putting the same effort and energy and mindset that I did as a player into the focus of being a coach, and putting all that same passion and energy into those aspects of what I do now. So, I've been trying to use the opportunity, and I'm so blessed for it, but I've been trying to use this to prepare myself for, hopefully one day I have the opportunity, and I've done everything in my power to prepare for it.
No, absolutely. And people don't know how tedious that process is, the preparation process, how much work goes into hours and hours, G. I mean, you could go take shortcuts and, do 45 minutes. Gee, I saw you in that office, like or on the road when we're on the road, you're in the room doing the scout and, breaking down, and you got to see what these guys are doing. It's not just like, oh yeah, they're running wheel or whatever. You got to break it down and see what these guys are doing. That rewind, fast forward, rewind. Like the average person doesn't understand, how much goes into that preparation.
Here's my least favorite part. My least favorite part is typing it out. I don't need to do this. Like it's here. Mm-hmm. I'd rather relay it. It's giving guys a sheet of paper like that to me. I'd rather, like you said, the way I would like to do it, and everybody's different, is to do that, to have the board behind me and to be like, hey, E, Number 5, where does he like to go? Coach is going left. All right, when he's running this action, what does he like to get to? I'm very engaging. How you've been with me with the guards. That's when we get into game prep. That's what I do in my office. It's going to be a little bit harder now with COVID. I have to be a little bit more strategic, and you can't be in confined areas. So I'm going to have to adjust there. But that part of the gig is really enjoyable. It's the tedious part. My favorite time of year is tournament time, because what people don't understand is everyone else is like having a beer, waiting to see if their team is called. We're sitting there waiting to see if we're called. And then you go right from like, yeah, to the coaches are in their office and we're downloading every single game that you have to. And Todd Blumen, I love him. God bless him. But every year he says the same thing to me. He says, I'm going to be here all night downloading the games. And every year I have the same response. You have to download them. I have to watch them. Every year.
Birthday boy, birthday boy.
Oh, Matty Gorman story. That's the greatest. But
yeah, we're gonna.
We love what we do, and that part of the job has become very, very enjoyable for me. Is the game prep and trying to educate these guys, and it's an intoxicating feeling going into a game that you're playing, feeling like we're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke about Hop a little bit, and I just actually had him on the last podcast last week, and same old Hop. I mean, he comes on and he's like this, right in the kid. That's what right.
He's ducking and weaving.
I miss that energy, but I know you guys have a close relationship. Tell me what, or how he influenced you, with coaching. What has he done for you?
So many different ways. My passion. He and I are very alike in how we train. You and I are very, very alike in how we train. And I've told a lot of people in this area, if you're looking for someone to work with your children, you look no farther than Eric, because I think what we do is we're very, very big on confidence building. But we do it through constructive criticism and the work. And if you can get a kid to be excited to be there every day, and even when they're not at their finest or they don't feel like doing it, can you get it out of them? And that is probably where I've taken more from Hop than anybody. I'll tell you the story. You've probably heard this story. I was meeting him one day for a workout when I was a player. And it might have been your freshman year. And I walked out on the court, and like my shoes were untied. I was ready to get an hour in before practice, get some shots, get some work in. And when I walked out, as I was walking to the other end of the court, I saw a piece of tape, and it was like in between half court and the 3-point line. And it was a strip of tape. And I walked up and looked down at it, and it said JJ's range. And as soon as I saw it, I was looking straight down at it, and I could already see there, like 5 feet in front of it was another piece of tape. And I'm like, that son of a, I already knew that my name was going to be on that tape that was closer to the 3-point line. Like, oh, JJ can shoot it back here, but you can only shoot it up here. Like, so right from the start, he knew, like, I'm gonna get a different Mac today, And that's the greatest part about Hop, is he can always get you. He could always get a little more out of you. That's been my favorite part of the skill development process with the guys that I've worked with is, can you get a little more? Like Elijah told a story at the senior banquet this year. He said, it was he had worked out with me at 6 a.m. all summer last summer. And I don't even remember doing it, but at one point he's like, I was gassed. It was like 45 minutes in, and I had my hands on my knees, and he said G-Mac walked over and just like, like Hop used to just like, like Gumby, and so I just like walked over to E and just like laid on him and like pushed him and shouldered him. And I was like, you trying to average 20 this year? And he was like, yeah. But it's like, that's the hardest thing with COVID now is you can't hit. Like, I'm not supposed to, like, E, it's like Tyson said, like everybody's got a game plan until you get
pushed. Right?
So like you could come out there and half-ass it, and that's your game plan. Like you're a little sore, you're gonna coast. But as soon as I put a forearm in your chest, I'm gonna get Eric Devendorf. Right, you're gonna perk up quick. And I've always been very, very physical in my workouts because I think it's incredibly beneficial because you get full speed. And when you train at game speed, you're getting real reps. You're not getting any wasted reps. And I've always learned that from Hop. That's been a great gift for me as a skill developer. It's been such a great tool that I've always stored in the back of my mind that, when these guys aren't given everything or they're not at their best that particular day, it's on you to make sure they are. And that's been, other than the fact of, great friend, always there, great advice. He called me 2 nights ago. We were talking about something, in the business, about one of his situations, one of mine. So yeah, it's just such a great relationship to have, especially me that he recruited me and to still be here all these years later. That's 20 years now. That's, I think 2000 he recruited me and that's going on 21 years.
Yeah. Hops he's like no other for sure.
Great guy.
So what to you, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit. What separates a good coach from a great coach?
Talent. Really good players. No, I think one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've gotten is, kids spell love Time. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the time with them. You got to show them you care. Earn their trust. They got to know you're genuinely there for them. You care about where they are as people, where they are as players. The biggest adjustment that I've had to make in my own career has been juggling that with my own family. For the same reason, kids spell love Time. I have 4. So, I could easily be, Gerry McNamara from 2009, 2010, where I'm a grad assistant with no children. I'm in that gym grinding, right up until, 7, 8 o'clock at night, getting 2 guys individually before practice, getting 2 guys individually after practice. And, now it's different. You got, with your girls, you send them to school, well, I send my kids off to school and then I go to practice. Well, practice doesn't get out till 6. I don't get home till like 6:30, put the kids in bed at 8, so now, you get an hour and a half with the kids. So that's been the biggest thing is, I think that the great coaches are able to manage their time to tailor to every kid, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The great ones, it's about consistency, and every kid that plays for you, it's about their experience. That's vital to me. Is I'm coaching Eric Devendorf. I want Eric to feel like his experience here with me right now is the greatest in the sport. You won't go anywhere and get what you're getting here. I think that's the big thing with me is having a really genuine relationship of care, because I have one agenda as a coach. I want you to be the best version of you. And for me to be able to do that for you, I have to spend time with you. I have to dedicate my time for you, and I have to do it consistently. I think that's, certainly from what I do now as an assistant coach, I think that's what makes a great assistant.
And that's hard, G. Like you said, having to juggle basketball, family, and having it and we know how it is. You're gonna hear it from both sides, right? I mean, and it's tough, man. So I think, like I said before, the average person, they don't really know, what goes into it and all the sacrifices that you really have to make to be in this position. He's the coach at Syracuse. Everything is. It's a lot that goes into that, man. It's a lot of sacrifice that people don't know and they don't see about.
But it's great too. You know, like I think people that do what they love to do are willing to do whatever it takes. And that's the great thing about what I do is I love it, you know, so I wouldn't do anything else probably with as much passion because I wouldn't love it as much. So even though it is such an incredible commitment, it's so worth it, you know, like that's when I first started, it was about, you know, like I'm like, dude, we got to win a national championship. And that's still my focus. It's 100% my focus. But I think I've just grown differently. You do it for so long, it becomes about this, you know, it becomes about like how many different people you get a chance to touch, how many different people you meet and you see their backgrounds and you learn more about them. And there's no greater bond than when you step across those lines and you're grinding together every day. So to see guys like, you know, when I first got into it, and I had that bond right away with Michael and Trevor. You know, Michael FaceTimed me last week. I was talking to Trevor on election day. I was like, dude, who would have thought Scranton, Pennsylvania and Wilmington, Delaware would have been, you know, the talk of election day. But that's really, you know, it's evolved so far beyond my wildest dreams of what it means now than more just those. Those are what we strive to be, but it's the journey to that regardless if you get there, it was all worth it. You know?
100%. Gee, and you hit it on the head. Like when you're in between the lines with these guys and having played, having coached, it's the same because you're both going at it. You're both grinding, whether it's you're working them out or you guys are working together. But you know, even, you know, going back to when me and you played, you know, we're in between those lines, we're sacrificing, we're grinding, we're running the sprints for preseason, doing all that. So you have a more of an appreciation for each other. You know, even if we, like you said, even if we don't get the ultimate goal and win a national championship, we're going to remember like all those times forever. Like, hey, you remember when Matty G went like out to the side of and then just kept going. Like, it's just like, gee, we have stories for days. And it's just, but like I said, you hit it on the head, man. Like it's about, you know, those moments when you're grinding with each other and then you get to sit back and like we are right now and talk about it, man, and be like, man, we had some pretty incredible moments through this game of basketball. Man. You know what
I mean, think about what you and I experienced even not even playing together. That's what's so incredible, especially about our relationship, is one of my favorite things that ever happened was after we beat Michigan State in the locker room. The video, I don't even know who took the video, but of us jumping up in the air and chest bumping, you know. Yeah, it was hysterical, you know. So it's just, yeah, man, it when you go through something together and you share an experience together, it just unifies you in a different way than I think people that are on the outside can experience. And they experience it in their own special way. You know, I think fans can attest to that. You know, some of the things that, you know, we don't understand is when we're running around with hats on for winning a Big East tournament, you know, they might have been doing that at a party that they had at their house. So they have a shared similar experience in a different way for the same event. So the fact of what they don't understand is the climb to get to that moment. And that's what we're talking about. That is the special time that bonds you forever. That when I got into this, not that I didn't expect, I didn't anticipate how strong it is.
No, absolutely. No question. And I think Syracuse is, you know, one of the few universities, and obviously we've all had the same coach with Coach Boeheim, but I just know how much of a family Syracuse is. And even like if you didn't know this guy, you feel like right when you meet him, it's like you guys played together. You know what I mean? It could have been Roosevelt Bowie who played right when Coach got here. I remember the first time I met Rosie, he comes and he's like, he gives me a bear hug and then he swings me around like I'm 5. You know what I mean? And I'm like, Rosie, like, what's going on? Like, this is the first time I'm meeting you. Like,
just a monster of a man too. And like
his hands like this. His hands like this.
Nicest guy. And even, you know, it's funny, I heard you and Hop like, because you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about Pearl. Like, the first time I met him, it's funny, when I was coming in, I wore 31 in high school.
Yeah.
And I had said to Hop in the recruitment process, like, I didn't really know about Pearl. Like, it was before my time, So I said to Hop, I'm like, yo, 31. He's like, I could ask Pearl. And I was like, what? He's like, it's retired. Pearl Washington wore it. And we had one conversation about it. And I said to him, I was like, oh, it's retired? No. And then I met the guy. And I'm like, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. And like you're saying, it felt like I had known him. It's because, and I think that's the true power of this place, is because of Coach. Like, right from the start, we're all unified in the same journey. We're all playing for the same guy. Like, you've all been when he hunched, he kind of hunches over and he chases you with his eyes down the court. And his head, so like right away we're all, you're lumped into like, oh, I remember those days. I remember where you're at right now. So, and then like, like it's like John Wallace is just the nicest guy, the greatest guy in the world. Like DC, first time I met DC, punched me in the stomach.
That's DC's jacket right here.
Is it? Yeah. First time I met him, he punched me right in the stomach.
What's going on? Like, hey, what's going on, G?
Hey, great to meet you. Great to meet you. Yeah.
So look, it's been 11 seasons, I believe you've been coaching at Cuse. No doubt you're going to be a head coach somewhere. But what would it mean to you to be able to, be the head coach at Syracuse, at your alma mater, where you spent your whole time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my love for this place, you can't really, I can't explain it. I've been here, I've been tied to this place for 18 years now, really 20 if you count the recruiting process and being here. I just care so much about where the program is, the role it's played in my life, the role it's played in the kids that I've coached, their lives. The uniqueness of being a part of the first team that won a national championship here, to be always intertwined with that forever, to have gone to 2 Final Fours as a coach. What it would mean to me. I think the biggest thing for me is just continue doing what I'm doing and prepare myself for wherever it is, when that day does come. And I hope it comes. I'd be lying to you if I say I don't want to be a head coach. That's what we strive to do. And I think when you do it long enough, like, I think there is such a learning process in this whole thing, where you get to a certain stage where you feel like, yeah, man, I feel really good about where I am in my confidence level. You go through that as a player. I think I've gone through that stage as a coach as well. So yeah, just continue to prepare myself for when the time comes, wherever it may be. Just go rock it and do it the way I do, the way I do things. I'm not going to be Jim Boeheim. I'm not going to be Mike Hopkins, the same way that they weren't the guys that they worked for. Everybody has their own style, and the great thing for working for Coach is he lets you develop it. I mean, the greatest part of my job is how much control I have to build my own unique style. And that has been, I feel like, the most rewarding thing. He's always there, but at the same time, he lets you grow and grow and grow. And that has been really, really important in my development.
And how important is that, especially as a young coach coming in, to have a coach give you that type of freedom? Like you said, still there, but he's letting you figure it out. He's giving you those guidelines, but he's letting you figure out. I mean, I know coaches who are just there on top of your head and they don't let you do, you're not a coach. You're really just kind of standing there. You know what I mean? And I've seen it from other coaches. So I think that's, and as a player, you want that too. But as a coach, when you're given that freedom to really, all right, this is my group right here.
Yeah.
It gives you confidence to, go ahead and do your thing, right? Rather than having the guy just breathing over your shoulder like, hey, that's not right. Or, you know what I mean? Like, and even if he did have something to say, he's gonna say it to you in behind closed doors or wherever it may be. He's not gonna, do it out in the open with.
The first scout I ever had, the first important scout I had, I'll never forget it. We played Providence. And one thing Hop told me, he said, Mac, piece of advice I can give you. When you do your scout, don't use any paper. So when you're going over with the team, he said, know it. He said, I did it one day when he was a young coach, and I think he had a piece of paper and he did whatever he did. And I think coach had said something to him like, next time.
Just get rid of it.
So I went into that Providence, I think it was Providence. It was Providence. So I went into that scout and I knew it. So I went through the whole thing and I went through personnel, everything. When you see this set, you're going to see this guy in the high post, and this is what he does when he gets there. And I remember right after you go shoot free throws. That's kind of the break of session in pregame prep. And our guys break off and they branch off. And we just casually, I was walking one way and he was walking the other way. And he just kind of under his breath, he said, good job. Good job.
That's as much as you're going to get, really. That's huge.
But I think it was his way of being like, this is what you're supposed to do. What you just did, that's what we expect here. And it was I was like, all right, that's who I need to be every day. So he's just, he's very similar as a coach as he is when you're a good player. He lets you, you had freedom here to play. You put in the work, you earned his trust, so you were allowed to play a certain way. And when you do that for him as a coach, he allows you to develop. He allows you to develop. He allows you to develop. And now your voice becomes stronger in practice. You can stop practice every now and then and be like, hey, no, here, So I am so blessed that I was here. Player, coach, he's so great to work for. It's just been really, really, like I said, I think my personal development has been really, really attributed to how he's allowed me to grow.
And I'm gonna give you a quick little story. This is when when I was on staff, we played St. John's. And you remember the game we played St. John's when Marcus Lovett is twisting, doing all that. We got destroyed. They were booing us. It was bad.
It was bad.
We ended up we had to come back to Mello for a practice. But what I remember, and this is, like you said, when a coach gives you that confidence and that freedom, it's just, you're a whole nother player, coach, whatever it may be. And I remember when, we were, everybody was sitting in the film room, and he came up to everyone, and I remember he came up to me, he was like, E, I want you to start off. Remember it? He's like, E.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
He's like, E, I want you be the first one to say something. And me, this is, I don't know, I think it might have been my first year.
It was.
Yeah, so
you were just on the gig.
Right. So, but him doing that, for me, it was like, you fucking talking about me?
Yeah.
You talking about me? You want me to? And me, I'm ready, G. But that just gave me a whole other. And you know how in that time, we erupted. We were like, shit, I'm saying what's on my heart, because me, you, Hop, Coach Ben, we're fucking passionate about this shit. We're super passionate. So what I was feeling, that all came out to them, because I would never let some dude like that come up dribbling, twisting, so it was just but my point is, when he came to me and said that, me being my first year on staff, it was just damn, man, that gave me a lot of confidence. And I think people have to know, little things like that, being a player or coach, that can be the difference of your maturation, your growth.
Think about the genius of it. What did we need? We just got embarrassed. That was one of the worst performances I've ever been a part of, player or coach. DePaul, you and I were a part of that one. But Coach knew in that moment, he needed a big heart. He knew it. Like, dude, these guys need to know, and they need to know now what it means to wear that S. And who's going to give it to them right now? And you were like...
yeah, like kind of like back and forth.
No. Dude, we were like, I get angry thinking about how angry we were. And he wanted passion. He wanted heart. He wanted people that understood what it takes to be a winner, what it takes to have pride in wearing what came before you. You have this on your chest. Get them. I never forget it. And you came in,
like you were just ready. Like, yeah, oh yeah, guns were ablaze. Yeah. No question.
Yeah, that was great.
That was unbelievable. Yeah. So describe these guys for me in a few words. Matt Gorman.
How many words?
However you want.
I'll start with the most important one. Loyal. And enjoyable, hilarious. One of the funniest, one of the greatest friends you could have. Like, dude, a true story. This is great. So we're out one night. I got like 3-4 friends from home, from Scranton, come up. We go out. We're out at the bar. My buddy Flinty's playing pool. He's playing against these kids. Like, we don't know who they are. You know, he's just playing pool. So they're playing pool. I don't know. They might be playing for $10. I don't even know. So my boy Flinty's a good pool player. So he's on the 8-ball. As he's about to shoot, this dude comes over that he's playing, and he whispers something in his ear. And I can see, like, my buddy's, like, nicest guy in the world. He looks at him like, what? Like, so the kid was probably like, yeah, you know, you're talking. I don't even see Matt. Don't even see him. But I see what the kid did. So did he. Flame misses. The kid comes back, beats him. Dude, the kid didn't even pull his pool stick up yet. And Matty was like this. What'd you say to him? What'd you just say to him? And the kid's like, what? Huh? You know. He's like, what? I didn't say nothing to him, you know. But I just, like, in that moment, I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's my friend from childhood, my whole life. And Matt Gorman, who I've been boys with for the last 3 or 4 years, just went over to protect my friend. Like, that's the type, when I think of Matty, that's what I think of. Like, the dude is the best.
100%. I mean, like you said, one of the funniest guys, but one of the most enjoyable people to be around. Like, you had, like, you know, you have people where you don't want to be around. You wanted to be around Matty because, first of all, because something funny was going to happen. And second of all, he was just, he was a great guy.
Incredible personality, always singing, lighting up the room. He just, the best. Dude, we were at the Garden, and we played in a preseason event. It might have been, was it Florida?
It was Florida, Wake Forest, Texas Tech, and
we beat Texas Tech.
And then we lost to Florida.
The year they won the national championship. We lost by 5. We controlled the whole game, too.
Yeah.
So when we beat Texas Tech, I don't know if you remember the locker room after the game, but, like, for some reason we were just like, Well,
we won by 40.
Yeah, we won by a lot. And Matt was back in the showers, and the reporters at this point were in our locker room. And I'll never forget, like, I'm sitting there talking to a reporter. Brad Pike is putting ice on my ankle as I'm talking, and all I could hear is Matt from the showers going, ah! Ah! And I remember looking down at Brad, and all I could see was him, like, you could see his shoulders bouncing because he was laughing so hard as he was trying to tape my ankles, Just the greatest guy in the world.
No question. Billy Eaton.
The steel wall. Like, pro, man. Just such a good player. Smart, goes where he wants, puts you on his back. But I used to say to Hop, I'm like, dude, he's got like a steel wall. If he got a step on you, it goes back to how you and I train guys. Like, you get this angle, take him out, eliminate him.
Right.
Billy was like the first player that I had gone up against at that stage, like getting to college, like, high school. Yeah, you could probably beat people with quickness and this and that. Like the first time I played against Billy, I'm like, man, when he gets a step on me, I can't get back into position. Billy Elan's the steel wall. He just kept you at bay.
Yeah, he was. People don't forget how good he was. He was he was a big point guard. First of all,
6'4", spin, floater, get to the rim. Didn't shoot it great, but he didn't. Coach, matter of fact, Coach and I talked about this like 2 weeks ago. I said to Coach, we were talking about Billy Edelin, and I said, Coach, how good of a player are you when you really don't even shoot it at 15 feet, and you could dominate a game? And he was like, he's so good.
Hakeem Ward.
Helicopter. Savior. Greatest play in Syracuse basketball history. One of the greatest people I've ever been around. All-American. Legendary. Great career. Great person. Phenomenal teammate. Good friend. He's the goods.
Yeah, a great dude. Quiet, but just unbelievable dude. This guy right here, he's something else now. Eric Devendorf.
Friend. Very, very good friend. And don't you go getting emotional on me, E. Don't get me going. Just really, I've really, you and I have grown very, very close. And yeah, really good friend. And one hell of a player.
Like, you got friends who, you might not talk to all the time, but when you do, it's like you picked up right where you left off. And like, you're one of those friends. I don't have a lot of friends like that, but it's just, you don't have to force anything. Everything is genuine. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. When we were playing together, I knew right then and there at this moment, I'm like, man, this dude right here is fucking the same type of guy as me. So we're at home. We're on a fast break, and it was me, you, somebody else. And I went the other way. I went the other way. And I don't know what happened. It was a timeout. I remember seeing you coming to me. You're coming to me. You're coming at me, and you're like, you look at me. Don't you ever not fucking pass me the ball again. I pass you the ball. You pass me the ball when we're open. And I just remember thinking to myself in my head, I'm like, man, he's fucking right. But you know what I mean? But I'm like, right then I'm like, man, this dude is like, I love this guy. Like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I knew where it was coming from. Like, you want to win. We're playing. And like the average, like an average dude might, you go up to that. You can't say that's average. You can't say that. You can't go up to everybody. I don't think you would go up to everybody like that. Cause you don't, you know what I mean? But that's how our relationship was. I remember that like it was yesterday, man. I could just see you coming up to me. And then I was just like, you're right, man. And then from that point on, it was just, you were getting that bitch. I was swinging that bitch to you.
And you were getting it back.
No question, G.
You were getting it back.
No question. It was, the chemistry there's not a lot of freshmen that come in and play with seniors in the backcourt and have that ultimate chemistry. And I had Coach Boeheim for the first podcast, and we were talking about our first Big East game. My first Big East game, it was at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We won that. We won. And me and you were like, we were fucking destroying. We were destroying Chris Quinn and Colin Farrell. You had 25. You sealed the deal with the like that. But right then and there, I told Coach, I was like, that's when I felt like, yeah, this is I'm not worried about anybody who we playing against. Like, I got this dude on my side. Like, we in the backcourt together. Like, we were one of the best backcourts in the country. Bart, I don't care what what you say, who you put it up against. Whoever we going up against, these dudes is gonna be in for a night. Regardless if we win or not, we scrapping with them. You know what I mean?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. A lot of freshmen weren't you. So my perspective of things were like, I'm looking at this dude over here. He can go the hell where he wants. Like, he gets to the rim a lot better than me. Like, and he's fearless. So my perspective of things was like, all right, how can I corral that psychopath over there? And like, I remember, dude, we were winning a game, and it was late in the game, and we had like a 2-possession lead, and I'm like, knock it off.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. I'm like, look, we're good. And you're like, yeah, G, you're right. You're right.
Man, I'm telling you, man, we had so many stories, man. And even like, we'll go back to when we were playing against the managers. Like, how, like, listen, now people don't understand, we're 2 coaches on staff playing against the managers who they might have played, some of them played high school, whatever. They're usually big time basketball fans and they want to be a part of it. But I'm treating these guys like, you're an NBA level talent, and I'm going at your neck. I mean, if you could see these dudes, like, I mean, gee, like some of these guys were probably like, oh my God, like, what is going on? Like, I remember seeing, like, I don't know who it was. It might have been Ben or somebody. Like, I'm treating this like it's a Syracuse Big East final. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Get over there and stand in the corner and wait for me to pass you the ball.
The greatest pickup story in all the years that we played was the day of the St. John's game that we lost, that we talked about earlier.
Oh, when they came into play, when we played against their managers, St. John's.
They had Bo.
Yeah, I remember you talking about, yeah.
Bo, I forget Bo's last name. Really good player. He played professionally. He had just got done playing, and he was their GA or whatever it was. And you and I were both on staff, but our managers played, and he played against them. Yeah. So we're up in my office, and you're sitting there. And so these are the kids we're playing against every game day, and now they're playing against another team. And now they all of a sudden go from the kids that we're trying to crush every day that we play against them to, yo, what's CB doing? Or, and then we're looking at the score. My man's got like 26 points in the first quarter, and they're down like 25. And you're pacing in my window like, yo, G, we got to play. We got to get down there. We got to get down there and play. And what do me and you do? I'm like, all right. I put the shoes on, we go down. Next thing you know, it's the NBA Finals at the Mellow, playing against the managers.
We end up winning by like 25, though, in the second.
That was fun. That's one of my favorite stories of us. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. Who would win in the 2-on-2? And I know the answer already. Me and you versus Buddy and Joe.
I'm at the stage in my career.
Don't let me down, man. I'm not taking no for an answer.
Listen, you're expecting me to defend at my stage.
We're outscoring. We got to outscore them. We need 3 stops.
What's funny is if the question's been thrown of who's the better shooter, and like Joe's always like me and Buddy's always like me, and I always kind of play it like, those guys are both great. So to throw it back on them, because they haven't taken a second to think to come at my neck. So me and you win. I'm gonna come at their neck.
Gee, I wouldn't expect any other answer. And if you did say something else, I'd be disappointed.
Well, the last 2-on-2 matchup was me and you against, was it Tyler Lydon and Tyus Battle?
And we won.
Yeah.
Right?
I think at this stage, even if I don't win, I'm like, yeah, I won.
Yeah, we won. It was.
I won.
Yeah, we won. We won.
I won.
You did.
I did.
Dinosaur, barbecue, or Prime Steakhouse?
Dino lunch. I'm going PCM. I'm going politically correct. Dino lunch, prime dinner.
I respect it. Danny Clam, he's a good guy.
Clam man?
The Clam man.
The Clam man.
You go in the back around, and then he's in there. You see him.
In there. It's there. He's a great guy. Great restaurant. Dino's legendary. Yeah. Dino lunch. Probably the pulled pork sandwich. A little coleslaw. It's the go-to.
Yeah, they're both Syracuse legends restaurant in the restaurant game. Okay, G, last question. How's the preseason been for you guys? And give me some expectations this season. Anybody who we should look out for? Any new guys coming in? Let me know what you think.
Well, to this point, we've been really, really fortunate. For getting our guys back, the second week of July, right after the 4th, we've knock on wood, we've been in a really good place as far as no positive cases. So we've if I were to guess, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule as far as where most people would be as far as on-court time. But for the upcoming year, just excited about the experience we have coming back. Really excited about some of the new players we've added. But looking for those jumps, looking for the jumps, like Buddy made a big jump freshman and sophomore year. I'm looking for the same jump from Joe. And then, same as Quincy, you're looking for those jumps. And then really relying on Barama to be the guy who finished the season so incredibly strong. He looked like one of the best big guys in our league. When he stayed out of foul trouble, he was so impactful for us. And then the utility tool in Marek, having your seniors, step up and try to get the type of leadership that you're expecting. And those guys have been terrific so far. And I think Marek, especially for him, can he take on a different type of scoring role with the departure of Elijah? You're going to try to make that up. Obviously, introducing new players into your program like Alan Griffin, Kadari, Woody Newton, those type of guys, Frank, they can play a huge role. But when you think about what you have returning, first and foremost, you want to think about the guys that you have experience with. And I think Marek's capable of taking another jump in the scoring column. And I'm just really excited. I love this group, E. Like I said, you talk about the journey and you talk about the people you're around and how grateful you are, cherish the people around you. This group has been really, really great to work with. And when you get to work with great people every day that give you everything they got, you're not coaching effort. It's just fun. It's fun to go to work. And those are the type of kids that you root for. Those are the type of kids that you hope have breakthroughs and have success. And we finished the season last year on a really high note, and we're hoping that as we come into this season that these guys are ready, full tilt, ready to go.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Gee, man, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I know you're busy, but I really appreciate you coming on, man. Yar!
Dude, you know me. I love you. Anything you ever need, I'm here.
Appreciate Coach McNamara coming on for the podcast. We have some great stories. Make sure you guys tune in and subscribe. We're going to have Syracuse Legends on every single week. So, again, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast Scores Table anywhere you can get it, Apple, Spotify, and make sure you also leave a review.